Hello, this is Dr. Kashif Abdullah. It is April 8th, 2020, approximately 12:30 in the Pacific time zone. And I am talking to you today about the current COVID-19 situation in both the world and the United States. And if you also have other questions about other things outside of COVID-19, you can ask me those questions as well. They don't have to be specifically just COVID-19. I'll just say hello there for the comments. Let's say hello there. So if you have any questions, I will look intermittently into the comments to say if there's any questions. So let's see. Let me switch screens real quick. And whoop, there we go. All right, let me switch things here. All right, so let me restart this map. So I wanted to show you currently what is the situation in the world. We are at 1 million. Oh, let's see. So there's a patient. Oh, he's talking to me. That's not good. Ooh, make that go away. Okay, anyway. So we are 1,400,000 people that have a total confirmed cases. 86,000 people, or 87,000, almost 87,000 people have unfortunately passed. Italy is still the number one country with the most number of deaths, and then after that Spain and France, and then in the United Kingdom, and then comes well, the U.S. they're just showing here the city of New York, which is 4,000. If we look at the daily increases of the world, we can see that we are likely beginning to see the end, the peak of the number of cases. And actually, I have a website from NPR that states that same kind of issue of the number of cases maxing out. And I'll show you that. Actually, it's a great website. You could look out and try to figure out, just trying to help you figure out when is the end of this situation occurring. So in the US, we have now 400,000 cases. They've been steadily increasing, but luckily the daily increases is beginning to come to its peak. So that's good. So hopefully in the US, we have come to the max increases, and now the daily increases in cases will fall. Now that will mean that this number, the 400,000, is still going to increase, of course. That doesn't mean it stops, but the speed at which this increases will diminish, and that's what we're interested in, the speed of this number not going as high. And the speed of the total deaths also decreasing, hopefully, over time. There's still going to be unfortunate increases, but 13,000 cases have unfortunately passed in all of the United States. Compare that to, what was it? They had the one with the world, but anyway, 13,000 is a lot. Or almost 14,000 is too much. If we look at Spain, they're at the 14,000 mark, so we're a little bit just behind Spain in the total number of deaths, unfortunately, but their numbers are decreasing much more significantly. The daily increase is falling, so that's good. If we look at Italy, they're really decreasing their increase. They have, of course, the most amount of deaths in the world of 17,000, but their number of increasing in cases are falling. So the coronavirus issue, hopefully, they'll get over it before the U.S. at least. That looks like it's by the numbers. France is 10,000, less than the U.S., but with this number, it's difficult to tell if we're at the apex of the number of cases or not, or if they're at peak or not. So, well, you need more data for France. Germany is falling. That's good. And they're 2,000, so they have much less deaths than, say, France or the other Italy or Spain. China is China. And then Iran is steadily decreasing the number of increases, which is good. There are now almost 4,000 deaths, unfortunately. The United Kingdom is still, it's not really falling, but it's peaked out, I think. Turkey, unfortunately, I've seen this has been increasing more and more, so Turkey still has not had it under control yet. Belgium is, well, peaked. Well, so we have to keep more numbers on Belgium. Switzerland, their peak, they are coming down. So there's a nice trend falling. So that's good. Oh, I don't want to see this right now. Netherlands is also falling, or at least peaked. That's good. And let's see, the Canadians are now, well, unknown really, peaked maybe or not. Oh, I don't want that. Close that. Anyway, and then the Brazilians, I know Austria is doing really well. Austria is doing really well. Of all the European nations, I think Austria is doing the best. And then of the world, South Korea has done the best. They have really, and what they did is, how they did it was they identified the cases. Them and the U.S. both had their first case at the same time, but they tracked this. They tested more frequently in the U.S. They took this more seriously. They quarantined those that were infected, and they followed their contacts and tried to quarantine and tested those contacts. So they prevented the spread as efficiently as has been done thus far in the world. So they're a model to um, follow. Now, if we look at, there's a great website I found right here. It is by NPR, KQED, about state-by-state projections. When will each state reach its peak? So this is more US-centric than anything else, as opposed to the world. So if you're not in the US, you might not. This is of interest too to you too, because, well, the US has the most number of cases, and maybe trying to figure out when is the US going to get out of this. So if we look here, it looks like New York is about to reach their projected peak tomorrow. So that's their projected peak of cases, or deaths actually, sorry, not cases, but deaths. And hopefully these will begin to diminish. This is a little bit different from this number that I've been talking to you about, the daily increases in number of cases. This is the number of deaths, but it's sort of similar. So we can sort of use it as a predictor in the same manner. But here it looks like it's beginning to fall. Now, the really good thing about this website is you can go state by state. So New York is the hardest hit. You can all see here. And then the next one, I think, was, I don't know, New Jersey. And you'll see New Jersey, their peak, they're estimating, will be done on the 16th. Now, these are estimates, too. So, remember, the U.S. has not yet come to its peak, and we're having yet to fall. We're looking for that peak. But if you go to another state, I think like Colorado, which is a little bit more isolated. So go to Colorado. You'll see this is hard numbers. Those hard numbers show that there's only 22 deaths. The peak number of deaths peaked out back in March 31st in Colorado and is petering out. So in Colorado, they're doing, one, because their population, I would say, is not as congested or as compressed as, say, New York or New Jersey, is one of the reasons, and also there's not that many people. But the number of deaths have peaked out. Now, if we use California, since I am right now, that's projected about April the 17th with 70 daily deaths. Now, the California has not been affected as greatly as, say, New York. New York and New Jersey really just take it to another realm. California and I would say the western states are more. Now, California has the largest population in the U.S. of around 30 some odd million, maybe more than that. But California is also a large state. It's enormous compared to New York, and at the same time, the population is somewhat more spread out. If you look at LA, I think LA and New York have somewhat similar population sizes, but they're all compressed. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Manhattan, but Manhattan's a tiny little island, and the surrounding New York area is not that big. And if you look at LA, it's enormous. From the air, it's enormous, just coming in by landing. So I would say the number, and also LA is more of a car culture too. So they stay in their cars as opposed to using public transportation. Californians don't use public transportation as much. So the potentiality of spread, I think, was much less diminished because, well, Californians are usually in their cars and they're isolated as opposed to people in New York using the subway and buses, and they're all jam-packed together. So the western provinces, or states, have a much less death toll, and they're a little bit more safer, frankly. Well, I'm not sure what's safer, but, and social distancing is more of a thing here, I would say, in California. They're really taking it seriously. Now, let's see Florida, because Florida doesn't take things too seriously. Where's Florida? So you'll see Florida has much more deaths, and their peak is predicted on the 21st. And this orange is the estimated range of deaths, just if you want looking. But I would say this is a great website. If you have a chance, it's by NPR, National Public Radio. That's basically, if there is such a thing, state-run radio. Not really state-run radio, but it's more, this is non-partial. It's government donated, or people donate to this. And it's a more, I think it's the least biased form of news maybe in the U.S. Than anything else. And then there was other Google topics I was reading about. I was reading about this topic right here. It's about, and people ask this question too. Coronavirus, how likely is it to subside in the warmer weather? It's not the warmer weather, and even the president of the United States thought that the warmer weather will make this go away and it'll get better. This is not going to go away with warm weather. This is going to go with social distancing and with testing. This is going to go with actively involving. Weather does not, you don't get a cold because it's cold outside. You get a cold because you got infected by another person. Now, when it is cold, you're more likely to be in a confined space with someone than, say, if it's a warmer weather, you're more likely to be out and about. And there are also physiological reasons that, yes, maybe warmer weather can make it so that you're more or less likely apt to getting the infection. But in general, warmer weather is not going to save us. It's going to be social distancing, testing, and treatment. And hopefully a vaccine is also being produced. Let's see if there's any questions with live stream. I don't see any questions here, but let's go back here. And let's see if there's any questions being asked here. No questions being asked here. That's okay. Okay. So we can see that the world has been going through a lot of issues. The recovery has been slow. Like, I don't even really read this number, the 317,000. It's like, that doesn't really mean too much to me, frankly, because it's the number of deaths are most important, and the number of total confirmed cases and the acceleration of cases that are really important. We're trying to, it's not easy. But at the same time, I wanted to open this up to other topics that anyone may have. And I could speak about other issues in medicine. And I can prepare that for next time when I speak. Maybe tomorrow I'll have something, a new topic to add, just instead of just COVID-19. I can also mention here, I just was looking up the news. Just like everyone else, I look up at the news of what's recently happening regarding the pandemic, how this may be harming the postal service, or how really hurting the financial sector, people losing their jobs. Let's hold on. Let me switch one thing here. So I just wanted to. Yesterday I had a patient I called, and he was supposed to do a conference call and what have you, but he spoke to me and said to me that he had unfortunately recently that he had unfortunately lost his job. And I was asking about, you have a scheduled visit, what could we do? And this is going to be hard. Losing a lot of people in America lose their health insurance when they lose their employment. And it's then that much more difficult to receive care, and they're more likely to get sick because now they've lost their work and now they're losing their job, and they also have to pay the bills for their apartments or their homes or mortgages or car payments or whatever. And it's not an easy time. It's very difficult. Everyone's business is slowing down, and this puts a lot of strain on people and their families, I understand. And that's another thing I would like to address. If you have issues, talk to someone. If you need to, you can even message me, ask me if there's anything I could help you with, if there's somewhere I could guide you towards. But I would say if you are experiencing, unfortunately, unemployment, that there is always avenues out there, and especially regarding your health, you can set up In America, you can set up something called Medicaid or California's called Medi-Cal or what have you. It's still care. You can still get, or you can also go to your urgent care facilities, or even your ER if you're feeling sick. If you are feeling sick, don't ever feel scared of not going to the ER. You don't have to have any insurance to go to the ER. They'll just cover you no matter what. Um, so this is not easy, especially losing your job. But the best thing to do is to keep healthy, and that's to do the social distancing, keeping away from people who are sick or that you think may be sick. I was actually speaking to another patient today, and it was in his normal visit. I forgot to refill some of the stuff. But anyway, he was speaking about how people in his small city in Northern California are not taking the virus too seriously and are going about coughing and wheezing or doing whatever and just not caring. Those kind of people you have to be very careful of. People who just don't care and say, "Oh, I'll never get it." And this is a very serious issue, and I would say more than anything else, you should stay home to avoid those kind of people. Maybe you're healthy, but there's nuts out there. Try to stay at home as best you can. The more we stay home, frankly, the faster this will go away. Or this will be not go away per se, go away, but at the same, it there's less burden. The more you stay at home, the less you get infected, the less you burden. This is around the world. The less you burden the regular health of the community. So it's important to try to stay at home as best you can. Avoid getting infected. Washing your hands 20 seconds. Trying to cough into your sleeve or what have you, or sneeze in your sleeve. Do your best you can. Let's see. Let me switch this out. I wanted to show you another thing. It's called Reddit. I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of this thing, but and it's basically they call it the front news or front page of the internet, and people speak about all sorts of things that currently are trending within the world. So it doesn't have to be about coronavirus, could be about anything. People are talking about all sorts of, looks like, other news outside of, let's see, Dr. Fauci thinks Americans should, he says he doesn't think Americans should ever shake hands against, interesting, misleading title. That's a misleading title. I think oil companies are collapsing, and yeah, that's a lot of issues happening with businesses, people not driving their cars as much, so they don't need as much gas. Debt toll should include all sorts of interesting, and then political issues happening. Let's see, the various tests happening in Italy. So yeah, yeah, a lot of things are. This is a great website actually. It's one of the things I use to determine what's happening in regards to everything around the world, coronavirus and what have you. But yeah, it's a good website. I like it a lot. Again, this is the same website here. Provides very accurate data, I would say, from Johns Hopkins. But again, if anyone has any questions, sometimes I see viewers coming and going. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Next time, I think what I'll do is I'll open up the topics to maybe something about asthma, something similar along the lines, or I can talk to you about I think I have spoken to people about the difference between colds and flus, and I've also put that on my own website. So I guess if you have a chance, you can go to my website. I'm trying to make it or the YouTube website that I have. I'm trying to make it so that there are more topics that are just general topics in medicine. The page used to be an investing page because was one of my hobbies, and I also dabble in fixing my car. So you may see those on my webpage. But I'm trying to, because I'm a physician, I have less and less time to do those hobbies. I have more time. I have to spend more time in medicine. And I did a radio show some time back and I have these old topics or slideshows that I was going to make that I can make into YouTube videos. So if you have any issues about trying to figure out any medical problem, you can of course go to the YouTube webpage and look up any medical kind of. I'll put in more and more um, presentations regarding issues. And if you have topics specifically that you want to discuss, that's another thing. I want to make this channel more for the public as well. If you have channels or questions that you would like to have discussed, ask me. Um, and I would likely make a topic for that specific issue that you want to address. Say you want to address, I'll make it up, constipation, and I'll talk about constipation. I'll tell you what the various medicines you can use for constipation, or some people have like frequent headaches. What do we do? How do we treat them? I'll give those kind of things. I'm just starting the channel again. Like I said, the channel it's an old channel I had from 2012, and I just sort of petered around with it, and then I would make things, not things. So ever since the coronavirus, I've had more time sort of to make things on this channel. So if you have any questions or issues you would like to address, feel free to ask me, and I'll make it. I might be able to, I may have already covered it in the topic before, but we can discuss that. And there'll be short videos. These ones are a little bit long. They'll take 30 minutes, but this is just my chat between everyone in the world out there. But so if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And yeah, it's just, sorry, there we go. I'm here to help anyone I can, and see if there's any questions on the page. I'm looking this up. Hold on, let's see. No, I'm looking up. There's a WhatsApp that I created with people. They would ask me questions. It looks like there's not many questions right now on that. It's okay. We're coming up to the end anyway. Again, this is Dr. Kashif Abdullah, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.